Shalom, everybody. This is Dave from Universal Truth of Mankind. I am your host, and this is Meditation 201. Like always, please take a look at the descriptions, and you'll see I have multiple playlists. Feel free to peruse, look around. I do have a playlist for Meditation 201 as well. If you have not watched the previous videos, please go to that playlist and do watch from the start. Very important. If you want to do an in-depth study, you really need to go to the beginning of this series and work towards the latest. Also, I have a YouTube and Rumble. Please subscribe to both. That way there's a redundancy in case one system goes down, you got the other. The same videos are on both platforms. All right, I'm going to visit Genesis 1:1, I think probably just one more time, and that's what we're going to do here. So why are we doing this? Well, remember, this is a series about self, not the me, myself, and I egotistical self, but rather self and who we really are. I'm talking about our soul, our completed, perfected, eternal form. I'm talking about our metaphysical mind. I'm also talking about the body. And we need to bring this all into a single cohesive unit, a unity, and a pod, so that we can better more quickly transform ourselves and more effectively transform ourselves into what we're supposed to become. Now, with that said, by studying the true testament, meaning in this case the Torah, we are learning about the nature of our Creator. And remember, we are a reflection of the Creator. Therefore, if we learn about the Creator, we learn more about ourselves. And when we learn more about ourselves, then we can have a better relationship not only with the Creator, but also with each other. And remember, the two main commandments in the Torah is this, or are this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength. So we talk about a relationship between us and the Creator. It also says, love your neighbor as yourself, for I am Hashem. Our neighbor is also part of God, and we are to learn to love one another. And in order to do this, we really have to understand our connection, our relationship with the Creator, and we'll better understand the connection with others. All right, so let's take a look at this again. In English, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, like I said, this is a poor translation. It's a lousy translation. It is technically correct, but it's not necessarily reflecting the Hebrew that it was translated from. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We're just going to look at the first three words, and we'll see it right offhand. Now, if we look at the Hebrew, we see Bereshit bara Elohim. All right, that's the first three words. And remember, Hebrew goes right to left. Bereshit bara Elohim. Now, if we were to take a look at the Strong's Concordance, we would see bara means create. But create comes before Elohim. It doesn't say Elohim bara. It says bara Elohim. Here's create. But it's after God. That's not what the Hebrew says. It should say in the beginning, create God the heavens and the earth. Now you may notice there's, just real quick, there's a bara here and there's a bara here. And that's why I say this means create 6, means create. And like I said in the past, create, it means, I explain what each one of these meaning the thought of creation, the design of creation, and the facilitator or the fabricator of creation. But there's more in this verse. You can't stop there. There's more being stated just in the first three words. It's saying created 6, created Elohim. Yes, you're hearing that right. In the Hebrew, there's no error here. It is saying this can also mean in the beginning, because if you look at the bait, that can mean in, and reshit can mean beginning. So you could divide this into two syllables as bereshit or as barashit. Each each rendition here is correct. So we have in the beginning created Elohim. It's not saying Elohim started creating or the creation process started with Elohim, though that is still correct. It's saying that Elohim was created. Thus, it's saying in the beginning created God. It means something created Elohim. Elohim is part of creation, not outside of creation, but is part of creation. It's sort of like saying, if I take clay and I want to make a pot, my hands have to be within creation in order to create the pot. Or a dish or whatever, a cup, whatever you make, an ashtray. We used to do that when I was kids. We used to make ashtrays for our parents when I was a young boy. So see, this is another way of looking at this. Now, how does this help us with self? That's the key here. If we look at Bereshit, like I said, this means thought. Okay. And the bait cuts off the essence of the creator. We're not allowed to have any knowledge of this. Like I said, it's forbidden, meaning, not meaning, hey, you read this book, don't read this book, otherwise you understand this. No, there's nothing to be understood. It's beyond our capability. That's what I mean by forbidden. And then the creator, the essence of creator, had a thought. Do we not have thoughts? And then what happens after? We design. And then we fabricate. We need a tool to do this. Elohim is that tool. Let's take this again to ourselves. If I have this great idea, or anybody has a great idea, they have a thought. What do they do with that thought? Well, that thought is a seed. But that thought is not reality yet. How do we make thought reality? We have to analyze it and do a design. That could be a few minutes of research, a few minutes of thought, a few seconds even. Or we could be talking about years, maybe hundreds of years of an idea being developed till finally we're at the point where we can actually make it. We can create the tools, the technology we need in order to create the rest. This is no different than you and I. Remember, we're a reflection of the Creator. We are like the Creator. We emulate the Creator. We have thoughts. We design. And then we use tools to create. No different here. I hope that helps you. And I hope that enlightens you to a perspective. I've talked about this in other videos, but this is something that many people forget or don't realize that the Hebrew is mentioning that's not reflected here. It's true, God did create. There's no lie. Let's just say in the beginning, it created God, which created the heavens and the earth. It should be saying that minimally, but it does not. And that's according to the Hebrew. And your Strong's Concordance, you won't pick this up. You have to go beyond that. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Shalom, shalom.